Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you what is inheritance and what are subclasses and superclasses in Python. So we all know that Python is an object-oriented programming language, and inheritance is one of the most important concepts in object-oriented programming language. Now what is inheritance? Inheritance allows us to define a class in terms of another class, which makes it easier to create and maintain our application. So for example, you have created a class which is generic in nature and you want to reuse it again and again in different situations. You can use inheritance to show or inherit some of the traits or all the traits from the class to your class which you want to make. So you don't need to write a class from the scratch. You can inherit from the superclass. The class from which we are inheriting is called a superclass, and the class which is inheriting is called a subclass. So let me give you an example. For example, I create a class which I call this is a parent. Okay, and this class has two values or two variables. Value 1 is equal to let's say it's a string. So I say this is value 1, and in the same way I will define value 2. This should be value, right? So I will define value 2 variable, which is the second member variable of this class, and this is value 2. Okay, now for example, I want to reuse the variables which are their member variables which are there in the parent class, and I want to create a second class, and I want to reuse these member variables in other class. How we can do it? So I will define a second class, for example class, and I will name it as child, and this class wants to reuse these member variables from the parent class. So what I can do is I can inherit from the parent class in the child class, and to inherit the parent class in the child class we just use these two brackets, and inside these two brackets we just pass the name of the class from which we want to inherit. So in this case we want to inherit from this parent class, so we can just pass this parent class name and in the brackets, right? Now we can use this values from the instance of our child class. So for example, I don't want to do anything here. I can just write pass, and pass, if you don't know what is pass is just a placeholder. So it doesn't do anything, but if suppose you don't want to implement your class and you want to leave your class as it is, then pass will help you to avoid any errors. So let's see what happens when we don't use pass here, and I will save my program and run it, and it says unexpected indent. This indent should not be here. Run it once again. So it shows an error. And what is the error? Because we haven't given a pass here, it expect or Python expect that we define some definitions of member variables or member functions here. So what we can use is we can use pass in order to avoid any errors. Now whenever we want to make a child class instance, for example child like this is equal to, and we want to make the instance of this child class, we can make it like this. So we just can make the instance child. You can just give underscore to differentiate this instance from this class. But let's first create an instance of the parent class, and then we will create the instance of child. Parent, and parent is equal to parent. So we have created the instance of parent class, and from this instance we can call parent dot value 1, which is this one, and we just want to print this parent dot value 1. So we can just print, and inside our print we can just pass this parent dot print 1 here, and let's say we will define it this child class later. So I will just run this once again, and it prints this is value 1. Okay, in a similar manner you can call second value from parent, and this you already know, right? Now suppose child instance want to use value 1 and value 2. I create the instance of child, and because I'm inheriting from my parent class, this value 1 and value 2, which are member variables of this parent class, is available to use from the instance of child class also, because by inheritance we are allowing the superclass, which is this parent class from which we are inheriting. So the class from which we are inheriting is called superclass, and the class which is inheriting from superclass is called subclass. So from this instance we can call this values or variables from the parent class. So I can just once again copy this print value 1, but this time I will use the instance of child class, and you can see here I haven't implemented anything in the child class except the inheritance, right? So I will just run the program once again, and it prints this double times. So for example, I delete this to illustrate this example clearly. I will once again run this, and it prints this is value 1 and this is value 2, which is printed by the instance of child class, right? That means we can use the member variables or member values of parent class when we inherit from parent class to a child class, right? Now you can inherit from multiple classes. So for example, you have parent class 1, you have parent class 2, and you want to inherit from both the classes. You can inherit from parent 1 like this, comma parent 2 like this. Okay, so you can even inherit from two classes or multiple classes at the same time. You just need to separate those parent class by this comma. Okay, so just remember this. So in this way you can use inheritance in Python, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now.